being on the spot and coming out here on very short notice to let us into the building. There was a miscommunication between the mayor's office and myself, but that's been resolved. If you all don't mind, I know it's 6:05, give me just a moment to pull up some notes. Okay, folks, see if I can blow this out a little bit. Very good. I'd like to thank everybody for joining via Zoom tonight, and we have two gentlemen in the audience who are here to provide in-person testimony or public comment. This is the public comment period scheduled at 6 p.m. on August 27th in the matter of docket number CC-2020-OGR-01-002. This is the time set for the public comment period. We are at the Fruitland City building. We also have this going on via Zoom. How this is going to work is, well, first of all, we had the hearing this morning. It started right at 9 o'clock, ended just before noon. Everything went off really without a hitch. We broadcast via Facebook Live very successfully. There was a few internet glitches here and there, but all in all, it went very well. That was saved to the cloud and has been uploaded to the Idaho Department of Land's YouTube channel. So if any of you would like to watch that, I was just notified about maybe 30 minutes ago that it was uploaded and ready. Please feel free to do so. Just for background, docket number CC-2020-OGR-01-002 is for the spacing order consisting of the southeast quarter of section 10, the southwest quarter of section 11, northwest quarter of section 14, and the northeast quarter of section 15, township 8 north, range 5 west, Boys Meridian, Payette County, Idaho. The hearing this morning, of which this public comment period is associated with, is just for spacing. I've learned to give all of y'all a pretty wide berth as to whatever you'd like to say, but I want you to know that specifically this is regarding the spacing order. Is the pool appropriately sized for the unit? The normal steps in Idaho is to have a spacing hearing, and then once we know the appropriate spacing, if that is determined, we go on to the just and reasonable, and then finally to the integration hearing. So it's pretty much a 3-step process. We're at the first step now. But again, this is a public comment period. Y'all are going to say whatever you feel like saying, and that's okay. I would say in the room tonight, I have two gentlemen. If they'd like to provide comment whenever you get up, just, well, not yet, but say and state your name and spell it if you don't mind. If you want to walk up here, you can. We'll let the folks in the room go first. As far as people who are on the Zoom room, I think I've got Julie Fugate, Rhonda Brown, or her phone, and another number that may be my iPad. So we'll see if there's a third person on there right now. And otherwise we have, you know, our ideal staff and council who's on the phone. Yeah, that probably is it. I remember she sent me an email and called me yesterday. I even told her to call myself. She couldn't get through, right? So with that, if you have any questions, all right, I'm going to go ahead and let the first person come up and make some public comment. And you can pull the chair up, or you can pick the iPad, or whatever you feel like doing. All right?
My name is Charles Oddie. I'm a resident of Fruitland. I live at 1208 at Jessica Avenue. My name is spelled O-T-T. In addition to the spacing application, I'm also going to provide a comment on the drilling application for the Barlow 214 well.
Well, you're welcome to do that, but it won't be considered.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I think I'm just going to read the letter that I sent you.
That's fine.
Then that'll keep me from forgetting to say anything I wanted to. I'll try to keep the other part out. I am opposed to the approval of the above mentioned spacing application. And I also had here, and the approval of any further drilling permits in the towns of Fruitland and Payette based on the use of forced pooling regulations to obtain leases. It's my belief that forced pooling regulations are in violation of personal property rights. And I think at some time in the future, the court will determine that they're not legal. They'll be stopped. My opposition to further drilling in proximity to the existing Barlow well is also based on environmental risks of the Payette River and the city of water supply. Thank you for considering my objection to this application.
Thank you very much for your comment. I appreciate it. Next in. Okay. The other gentleman in the room is not going to provide comment. I'm going to go ahead and start going through the folks who have dialed into the Zoom. And just since in order of what's popping up on my screen, we're going to let, I think it's Julie Fugate, provide oral comment. If you want to turn your camera on, you can, but it's up to you. Mr. Gozo, you may need to unmute her. I don't know if you can.
Mr. Thomas, I can go ahead and ask her to unmute.
Yeah, please do that.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, great. I appreciate the opportunity to speak this evening. It's Julie Fugate, F-U-G-A-T-E. Please note I am opposed to this new spacing application. There are many serious concerns regarding this application. First, Snake River Oil and Gas wants a spacing unit that overlaps with a second spacing unit. Please note the spacing unit and the Barlow 114 both include the northwest 1/4 of section 14. With spacing units done this way, the result could be multiple wells in every spacing unit. The law should be applied to keep the number of wells to the bare minimum in order to avoid harm to service estate owners, the public interest, and to preserve Idaho's scenic beauty, which is an important natural resource all its own. The application is incomplete because Snake River Oil and Gas has not asked for a specific location for a well. And the law, Idaho Code 47-3184, requires that spacing unit orders, and I'm quoting, shall specify the location of the well, end of quote. Until Snake River Oil and Gas tells us where they want to put the well, it is impossible to determine if this is an appropriate unit. And it's impossible for the public to provide meaningful input. It's like asking the general public, would it be okay with putting a well somewhere east of the state line? It is now obvious that Snake River Oil and Gas and its geologists are figuring this out as they go along. They drill a well, in this case, Barlow 114, and that leads them to want to drill another well, which will lead them to want to drill another well. The commission should deny spacing orders because in the words of the statute, and I'm quoting, it would be impractical or unreasonable to establish spacing units at the existing stage of development, end of quote. That's Idaho Code 47-3181. Basically, Snake River Oil and Gas wants to risk polluting southeast Idaho before they have even figured out where the gas is or whether they can extract it. Rather than making us, the property owners, guinea pigs, Snake River Oil and Gas should do more survey work and more research on the wells, rather than trying to use production wells that harm the local environment to get their information. Please act with integrity and deny this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fugate. I appreciate it. Next on my screen is, I believe, Rhonda Brown, or someone calling from her phone.
Mick, that's Richard Brown with
Well, that's
Snake
Richard
River.
Brown.
And I'm using my wife's phone. I'm just listening. Thank you.
That's fine. Thank you, Mr. Brown. I appreciate it. I believe Bixby has just asked to come in. I would ask before we get to Miss Bixby, is Roxy on the line?
I am.
Roxy, would you like to provide your comment at this time?
I would.
Thank you.
My name is Roxy Tolbert, Tolbert. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my husband, Bill, and we own a house in Northview Ranch. And we are opposed to the new spacing unit. We are opposed to all of the spacing units, all of the drilling. Here we go again, another hearing for a spacing unit. As homeowners and also owners of our mineral rights, we feel like we're being subjected to a shell game. Just keep changing the size of the spacing units and resubmitting. Just keep changing the name of the company and a few of the owners. I feel like the intent is to wear us out, so we'll give up and let them do whatever they want. Yeah, well, they can guess again. We're not going away. We won't stop fighting for our health, our property rights, and our beautiful state. Contamination of groundwater, methane pollution and its impact on climate change, air pollution impacts, exposure to toxic chemicals, blowouts due to gas explosions, waste disposal, large volume water use, fracking-induced earthquakes, workplace safety, infrastructure degradation. These are just some of the risks that we are being asked to accept in our homes, at our farms, at our ranches. Why? Why are you willing to even consider risking our homes, farms, and ranches? Why are you willing to risk our health, our livelihoods, and our children's futures? Why are you willing to risk Fruitland's water supply? What's the matter with you? I find it interesting that we're encouraged in commercials on TV to conserve water in our homes, in our everyday lives, while apparently there's plenty for the immense amount of water that would be needed to use by the gas and oil industry for drilling and fracking. You would have us believe that this is a just and fair hearing. I find that very hard to believe. The focus of these meetings seems to be making sure that Snake River Gas and Oil makes as much money as possible, and they expect us to worry about the fact that they've invested money ahead of having spacing. Certainly not our problem, and very concerning that they think that this is the way to do business. They are sure that what they want, they will get. Why are they so sure? That's fishy. The last spacing hearing, I was at Fruitland City Hall. And after the meeting, Mick Thomas looked me right in the eyes and assured me that his job in these hearings was to be completely impartial and that he was doing exactly that. Well, imagine my surprise when a day later, watching the recording of the hearing that took place earlier the previous day, there was Mick Thomas rolling his eyes when an anti-spacing person was talking. Now, I guess I can be thankful for one small thing the pandemic allowed me to witness. Now, it could be a coincidence. His eyes may have just been tired, causing him to roll them, but that sure didn't come across as impartial to me, and it removes a lot of our trust in the person making the ultimate decision. Body language can show what we're trying to hide. Mr. Thomas, please prove us wrong. Prove you haven't gone into this and all of the other hearings already on the side of gas and oil, no matter what. By the way, it doesn't matter what other states have done. Some states have probably protected their citizens and environments. Some we know have pockets of population and land that have just been devastated by drilling and fracking. What matters is what you do. I have no trust or faith in the system as it stands. What I do have trust and faith in is my fellow citizens who will continue to fight, and Kaya, who will continue to lead us in this fight for our rights and to keep Idaho clean and whole. On the off chance that anyone who has a say is listening with an open mind, vote no. Thank you.
Her husband went down there to see if he rolled his eyes. But he didn't have to include the safe. He was one.
I would appreciate if everyone would please mute their microphones.
Okay.
I believe it was Ms. Fugate who had the microphone unmuted. If you could go ahead and mute just before I respond briefly, because I was just there.
Shoot.
Come on, guys.
Mr. Thomas, this is Chris. The phone number 1208-845-2475. Sorry, 452-4754 has been muted.
Thank you. Chris, do you have the ability to mute Ms. Fugate and Ms. Bixby right now?
I do.
Please do so. Thank you very much. Just briefly, I'd like to respond to Roxy's comments regarding what I told her 2 weeks ago. And it's difficult when you don't have a personal relationship with someone to establish trust. I understand that. And I appreciate the passion and the courage it took you to have those comments tonight. I do want to say that my job as a hearing officer is to follow the law entirely. And I also want to assure you that that responsibility and the enforcement of that responsibility does not begin or end with me. I have a team of people at the Idaho Department of Lands. I have representatives and counsel at the Idaho Attorney General's office. I have the legislature, I have the governor's office, and I'm beholden to all of them to fulfill the law as it is written and by its intent. So I want to assure you that the decision I make and the order I issue will be beholden to that. And if there is opposition and disagreement with that order, whether it's on the applicant's side or whether it's on the objector's side, there's due process beyond me. That could then be appealed to the commission. And there's 5 skilled regulators there who will weigh in on that and offer a resolution, either in agreement or in opposition to me. I want to assure everyone listening tonight that I am not the judge and jury and executioner in any of this. I will do the best I can to follow the law as it is written and based on the intent, irregardless of what the applicant's opinion is or what the objector's opinion is. I have to look at the evidence, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make an order based on that evidence. And right now we're talking about the spacing location. The success or failure of the industry in the state is not an issue here in the content of this hearing. We're simply determining is the location, is the section size, pardon me, is the unit size appropriate for the pool to be effectively drained. That is what is at odds here, or not at odds, but that's what's being considered here. And I do appreciate, honestly, Roxy, you coming on and sharing your opinion. And I'm glad we had that conversation 2 weeks ago. But I also want to let you know that it's not just me. There are lots of people out there holding us all accountable. So thank you very much for that. And again, Ms. Bixby, I hope you don't mind coming back on. Chris, if you can unmute Ms. Bixby, if she would like to provide comment, she can at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I'm going to ask her to unmute.
Thank you.
Hi there, can you hear me?
We can. Thank you, Ms. Bixby. Thanks for coming on.
Good evening. That was a nice speech you gave, and you give me some insight that I wasn't totally aware of. But the reason I'm here tonight is I'm against this new unit. I mean, we come up with sections and now we're slicing them up like a piece of pie. I don't understand why that's necessary. And I feel, and I may be totally wrong, but I feel like it's being done to cut the leaseholders' money and line the drillers' company's pocket. And I may be totally wrong, but I'm not really happy with what's going on. I'm involved in one of the sections, and they're coming in wanting to take a piece of it. My concern is they've come out and made commitments and stole leases from people, mineral rights. How are they going to handle that if they take a chunk of one section? Are they going to honor the original commitment of the 640 acres? That's my concern. We don't know what's going on. These people come in and do what they want to. And I haven't been to any public meetings. I haven't shared any information with them. Mick, you've always been nice to come out and talk with us and answer our questions. But I haven't been able to do that lately, or I've been unfortunate to miss them. But anyhow, back to my whining and bawling. I feel like Snake River Gas and Oil is coming in, and I don't trust them because their forerunners, Alta Mesa, left a bad taste in my mouth. And I think they left some really dirty footprints. And I would like to feel comfortable with what Snake River is doing, but I'm not. They're drilling along our rivers. They're wanting to go into Barlow's and drill another well. And all I see on that, why are they going down another 1,200 feet? Didn't they hit gas when they were up at 3,200 or so feet? Now we got to go down to 4,500 feet. I don't understand if there's a pool of gas there, how they go in with two, what I want to say, spigots, and you turn on one and you turn on the other. Do they have two pipelines going there to Northwest? Now I've bitched about that. I really would like, and I know your hands are kind of tied, but I really would like some consideration as to the homeowners. You know, they're talking about drilling down underneath my subdivision. I'm not pleased with that because I'm just a roadway. I'm across the street from where they're going to drill. I don't want them drilling in my house because there is a road, there is a gas leak. We're in big trouble. I don't see how, if they can go underneath the home, how they can go under that home and stop a pipeline gas leak. Guarantee me they won't, Mick. Okay, I request that as you make this decision and all your little buddies get together, please consider the individual people, our property, our environment, and make that a major consideration when making your determination whether this is a yay and nay. I want it to be a nay. And I would like you to do the right thing for the citizens of our state and our county and deny this. That's all I have to bitch about. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bixby. It's good to hear from you again. I do want to say I enjoyed our conversation. And while I am in a different hat right now as the hearing officer, I look forward to, once the pandemic response is done, coming back out to Fruitland and continuing to have those town halls. I think they were enjoyable and educational. I'll just reply to you briefly for that. And thank you for coming out to those.
Thank you.
It was fun. In general, looking at everyone else who has signed into this virtual comment period, I think everyone has spoken. I don't see anyone else, but I do want to give a shout out. Is there anyone else on the line who has not been able to provide public comment regarding this yet? All right. That said, we got through it pretty quickly, even though we started a little bit late because of the logistics. Thank you everyone for your patience. We're going to go ahead and stop the recording in a moment, and we'll have this, along with this morning's hearing, uploaded to the IDL's YouTube page as soon as possible, and y'all can view it. And with that, I'll ask Mr. Gozo to stop recording, and we're going to go ahead and end this public comment period.